fix that camera. Put my little hat on, man. It's the damn camera real quick. Good. Let's see who jumps on here. What's going on? Let me know who just jumped on. Talk a little bit about boxing. Yeah, well, there you go. It's funny as hell when you go live, man. You know, people want to jump on. But if they don't see a crowded live, you know, then they don't want to hang around. But we'll get people starting to pop in, and it's all good, man. Let me know who. A little bit different doing this live because I know when we're talking about, you know, Crawford, talking about these other guys, man, it's going to be interesting to see what people have to say about Kenny Porter, Spence, Crawford, Wilder, Malik Scott. If Malik Scott is the right fit for Wilder. We're talking about these topics. Let's see, we got 3 people in there. Say something, let me know who's there. We got 2 people now. Say something, let me know who's there. Just went live. More people are going to start jumping on. Who's out there? See, we got 2 people out here watching the live. Let me know who's there. Let's get Nate. What's going on, Nate? How you doing today, man? Hey, let me know what you think about. First, let's talk about Wilder and Malik. There's a few things I want to talk about. These topics, I'm sure we're going to get some characters in the chat because we're talking about Spence. We're going to talk about Crawford, talk about AB, talk about Kenny Porter, you know, Wilder, Malik Scott. But my thing is with Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott. Wilder really feels that he was cheated. And I'm curious to know what you think, Nate, and what other people out here feel when it comes to Deontay Wilder still saying that Tyson Fury cheated, and the fact that he said or suggested that Alexander Usyk is a cheat. Now, in case you weren't aware, you know, he has set back Ellie News, the little annoying guy with the camera who's in everybody's damn dressing room, right? He interviewed Deontay Wilder, and it was Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott, and he asked him his opinion on Usyk and Tyson Fury, on who he thought would win that fight. Now, I expect Deontay Wilder, if he's asked about Tyson Fury, I expect him to talk about Tyson Fury being a cheat. I expect him to talk about Tyson Fury possibly using PEDs, especially after we found out about this crazy, this wacko nutritionist that Tyson Fury is loyal to and has been using, and that's the same nutritionist who was working with what's his name? What's up, Bully Block? Thanks for jumping in. When we talk about this wacko nutritionist who was working with Conor Ben, and the nutritionist came out and was bragging about how easy it is to skirt the system and to take banned substances and to have that out your body by the time, you know, UCAT or VADA comes the next day to test you. Now, I was a little surprised at when Deontay Wilder responded to Sekback's question. Well, Wilder said, as far as who he thinks is going to win is whoever cheats the hardest. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, you know, I couldn't understand why he grouped Usyk, you know, in that answer. Because I haven't heard anything about Usyk being involved in funny business. Even when you look at when he was fighting at cruiserweight, you know, Usyk has always looked, you know, pretty good, in great condition. So not really tracking with Deontay Wilder accusing, you know, Usyk of possibly being a cheat when it comes to boxing. You know, so I want to get you all's opinions on that. Also, I want to talk about Kenny Porter did an interview what Kenny Porter was saying, that he feels like Terrence Crawford has nothing for Earl Spence. And I was a little taken back by that as well. So we've had about 4 or 5 people in the chat. Of course, we just went live, so more people will jump on. But those are some of the things I want to talk about. And also Adrian Broner. You know, what direction is AB going? You know, I did a video. Well, I personally feel they got a secret society out there trying to get at Adrian Broner. We know he's created his own misery. No doubt about that. But at the end of the day, you know, what direction is AB going? You know, how far can he go on this? I don't even know if I consider this a second half of his career. I think this is more of maybe this is a third run. You know what I'm saying? I think the second part of his career kind of started after Maidana. And I think now this is like a third opportunity for him to do something. So you guys let me know. Well, Bully Block, you still there? Nate, you there? Who's still out there? Type something, let me know who's still there. Well, that's one of the things when you're doing these lives, man. You get on here. What do we got out there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Looked like he had dropped off for a second. So what do you think, Bully Block, man, about Kenny Porter saying that he thinks Earl Spence shuts Terrence Crawford down? Because I know you in particular, man, you know, you like Terrence Crawford. I just don't understand. I don't know. I know Kenny Porter spent a lot of time with Earl Spence and with Terrence Crawford. I know he doesn't really, he can say what he wants. He doesn't like Terrence Crawford. Remember, Terrence Crawford ran up on him when Crawford was 16 years old. He didn't like the way Kenny Porter talked to him and threatened to send him back home when Crawford was out there fighting in the stands when they were on the amateur circuit. So I was a little surprised to see that Kenny Porter chose Earl Spence over Terrence Crawford. And maybe he's sour from what happened back there when Crawford was 16. Maybe he's sour that Crawford went in there and what he did to his son. But for some reason, he says he just sees something in Spence, and he's something that Spence had ever since Spence was a teenager. He said he think he's just hating because his son got whipped. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of hating too. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because he spent a lot of time with those guys. But at the end of the day, there's some bad blood there between Kenny Porter and Crawford. So I'm still a little shocked that he went on record and said that. Normally, when you get what's going on, 78 Sound, appreciate you jumping on, man. Right now, we're talking. You know, we just started the live. We had some people on. You know, people they jump off when they don't see 1,000 people on here. But what we're talking about right now is Kenny Porter going on record and saying that he feels Earl Spence would basically just, you know, tear Terrence Crawford out the frame. And he feels Terrence Crawford does not have a chance against Earl Spence. And, you know, I'm neutral. I like both of them. I think it's a 50-50 fight. But the question is Kenny Porter just hating? Is he hating on Crawford? Because one, you know, Crawford beat his son Sean. And two, Crawford ran, you know, remember he ran up on Kenny Porter when he was 16 years old when they were on that amateur circuit. And Crawford didn't like the way Kenny Porter talked to him. And he met him in that alley, and he let him know, we can fight. And ever since then, Kenny Porter, you could tell he doesn't really think very highly of Terrence Crawford. Like you could tell he never let that go. So we're trying to just have a discussion, see what people think, what they really think once they strip the emotion away, and if they really feel, that's right, if they really feel Terrence Crawford doesn't have a chance against Earl Spence. Yeah, there ain't no sunshine when it rain in the ring. Absolutely, man. And when it comes to these guys, Bully Block says he was a father figure to Crawford. He gave Porter his last big money fight. His father should be kissing his feet. Right. I'm tracking with what you're saying. But I think it's just a matter of who can impose their style, man. I mean, everyone keeps talking. When you get the Crawford fans talking about it, they make it seem like Earl Spence just doesn't stand a chance. You get the Spence fans talking about it, they make it sound like Crawford doesn't stand a chance. But the reality is this. Crawford has patience. Spence is aggressive, volume puncher. He's intelligent, right? He's durable. But I used to say with Crawford, because he fights with his eyes, and people are like, "Well, what do you mean Crawford fights with his eyes?" What I'm saying is he's always watching you, everything that you're doing, and he sees the openings, and he has always been able to pull the trigger, right? But there's something that I saw when he fought Van Sien that threw me off a little bit. You know, it just looked like Crawford was a little step behind. So getting in there with a guy like Earl Spence, who's super vicious, super aggressive, I just think if Crawford really is still showing some type of ring rust, it could be a problem. Bully Block says, what was his reason for saying, does he have any proof, any logical explanation? Nah, Bully Block. He didn't. He just said he just spent a lot of time with both of them, Earl Spence, and he spent a lot of time with Terrence Crawford. And there were just things he saw in Earl Spence, even back then on the amateur circuit, where he just really felt Earl Spence is just built differently. And it just sounds almost like he's saying Earl Spence is mentally tougher than Crawford. Like no matter what Earl Spence goes through in the ring, he's going to push through it and eventually just mentally and physically exhaust his opponent. And that's what I took from what Kenny Porter said. Because, again, I was shocked that he went on record and said that. Normally when you have these guys come out here and talk about boxing, whether it's a coach, whether it's another a boxer, whether it's these promoters, they for the most part, they may give their opinion on the strengths and weaknesses of opponents, but they're not going to pick somebody. But, you know, Kenny Porter went on record and actually picked. So I was a little taken back by that. Bully Block Fighting says, I'm a big Crawford fan, but I'm a Spence fan too. Yeah, same here. I don't see how someone could sit here and look at Spence and everything that man has gone through and could come out here and say he just doesn't stand a chance against Terrence Crawford. Now, my thing is this, the real question, which I'm not here to really talk about that, but we can, is if he even gets past Thurman. But once they get in the ring, it's just a matter of who lands first. And with Earl Spence, he's not the kind of guy who's going to come in there with that one-hitter quitter and get you out of there. But he can't hit you with that one big shot and daze you and discourage you, and then he just pours it on. But I haven't seen Spence in fights just throw that one shot and just totally diffuse his opponent. Now, with Terrence Crawford, we know that Terrence Crawford can do that. He can hit you, and you will go down. It's not a matter of hitting you and your legs wobbling and your equilibrium going off balance. No. If he hits you clean with a shot, you know, you can go down. So with him and Spence, and me talking about the fact that Crawford has patience, he fights with his eyes, although to me, he looked a step off against Van Sien. Him getting in that fight with Spence early in the fight, when Spence is kind of on that front foot, could give some opportunities to Crawford. But if Crawford starts off slow, that could be all downhill for him, you know, and we know that both of them, they can be hurt. And, you know, so I think for these Crawford and Spence fans, I think they're going to be on the edge of their seats, man. Bully Block says, mentally tougher. Dang, that's great. That could be the next video. That's a good point. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, it's true. You know, they say boxing is 90% mental. But now that we're talking about boxing being 90% mental, how many of you out there really think Deontay Wilder is correct in saying nobody wants to really see him fight for titles? They just want to see him get in the ring and knock people out. So now Deontay Wilder is saying he doesn't care about fighting for titles. So when he said that during an interview I think 2 days ago, he did an interview. And when he said that, I said, you know what, Deontay Wilder, he doesn't want to go into a fourth fight with Tyson Fury. Now, I don't blame him either. But I'm, as we get more people in the chat, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Because I think Deontay Wilder, if he goes into another fight with Tyson Fury, doesn't matter what anybody thinks about Tyson Fury cheating or he did or didn't cheat. Doesn't matter. I just think that stylistically, that's a tough fight for Deontay Wilder. I think he plateaus. He hits that wall, and whatever happens in the fight, I think Tyson Fury has a good chance to beat him again, because of just the style. And then where does Deontay Wilder go from there? Then now you got Deontay Wilder. He's in a position like kind of with AJ. Like, where does AJ really go after those two Usyk defeats? AJ's fighting Jermaine Franklin. You guys know who Jermaine Franklin is, right? Jermaine Franklin is the guy who just fought Dillian White. So now they're going to get it on, I think, on 1 April. I mean, you want to see Deontay Wilder in fights like that, because if he loses to Tyson Fury, I mean, what's he going to do? How do you get a guy like Deontay Wilder motivated to fight someone like Oscar Rivas? You know what I mean? How do you get a guy like Deontay Wilder motivated to fight a Jermaine Franklin? Especially after the last video about mental illness. Yeah. Mental illness is real, man. And I don't care what anyone says. I know for a fact, just watching Deontay Wilder, man, that stuff messed with him. What he went through with Tyson Fury, that messed with him. And the fact that, and especially kind of how he went about it, I'm talking about Deontay Wilder. I'm sure if he could, he would probably handle the situation a lot differently, when they put the camera in front of him. Sometimes, and that's good for these journalists. That's good for content creators. You catch somebody at their most emotional state and where they're kind of vulnerable, and you know that they want to get things out of the system and talk about it. Put a camera in front of their face, and you'll get the raw emotion of how someone truly feels, because they're not really thinking. It's more just firing off. You know what I'm saying? Just reacting. But when you sit back, take a deep breath, blow it all out. A lot of times when you reflect, you can sit there and be like, you know what? I probably want to handle this a little bit differently. But Deontay Wilder got, people pretty much, they said all kind of horrible things about Deontay Wilder, man. And I'm sure that bothers him to this day. I don't care. Anyone who's always talking about they're happy, they're at peace, nothing bothers them. I don't care how much money you have, man. We're all human. We're all human, man. I think any Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury fight is always going to be 50-50. It only takes one shot from Deontay Wilder. Come on in here. This is one of my sons. What's up? Hold on. I'm on live right now. What's up?
Can I go and bring this back here?
Yeah, go ahead. All right. But yeah, close my door. But yeah, that one shot from Deontay Wilder, I guess it's just you and I here, Bully Block. We're just gonna chat, man. I'm not gonna get off because it's just you and I on here. We're gonna chat. But yeah, Deontay Wilder, man. Look, that guy has a different kind of power, man. But the thing is, you watch boxing like me, man. For Deontay Wilder to get that shot off, it seemed like it's harder for him to get it off against guys who are about his height. You know what I'm saying? When he fights the smaller fighters, it look like he can get that shot off a little better. He's more comfortable in the ring. When you get someone who's about the same size, the Gerald Washingtons, he hasn't fought AJ, but I think AJ will pose the same problem. And then even Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for Wilder to get comfortable and to get set so he can get that shot off, because they can touch him too because of their reach. And that's what you saw with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But Deontay Wilder was in the first fight was able to pull the trigger. In the third fight, Deontay Wilder was able to pull the trigger. We all know what happened in that second fight. But going into a fourth fight, there's some changes Deontay Wilder, of course, him and Malik Scott are going to make. But there's some refinements, if he and Tyson Fury were to fight a fourth time, that Tyson Fury is going to make. Because I don't care what anyone says. Whenever they talk about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, they always talk about the fact that, Tyson Fury beat Wilder and how he knocked him out, and that stylistically that's a horrible matchup for Wilder. But I'm telling you this, Tyson Fury knows that at any moment when he's fighting Deontay Wilder, it just takes that one shot. So I think Tyson Fury is definitely he may approach that fight a little bit differently. And what I do think Tyson Fury would do is he's gonna put his foot on the gas immediately, because Deontay Wilder still goes straight back. Even when Deontay Wilder fought Helenius, he still went straight back. And that's bad medicine, man. Bad medicine. So I'm not sure what Malik Scott can do to make Deontay Wilder to be more effective against a guy like Tyson Fury, man. AJ, at this point, I think it could be an uphill battle for Wilder. He always has the power. I like Wilder. But if AJ and Derek James can bring things together, AJ could be a problem for not only Wilder, for Tyson Fury. Like, AJ can really get himself back where he wants to be. And we all know that will make a fast Eddie Hearn extremely happy if Anthony Joshua and Derek James are able to come together and get on a winning streak, and for Anthony Joshua to become dominant in the ring like he was. I know a lot of people still have an opinion on Anthony Joshua. Monstrous Animal. Hood, I really don't think it's 50-50 against Fury because of Fury's chin. Wilder couldn't land much against Fury either. It's subjective, of course, but I think it'll always be 85-90% in Fury's favor. Hey, that's what Monstrous Animal, that's what I was saying. We were just talking about that. I think that's what I said. I think it's an uphill battle for Deontay Wilder, man, going into a fourth fight with Tyson Fury. I was just saying, Wilder always had the puncher's chance, but stylistically, that matchup is just bad. And I also said I feel that Tyson Fury, if they were to fight a fourth time, he may put his foot on the gas from the first round, because Deontay Wilder still has that habit of going straight back, and Tyson Fury is going to get to him. So I think Tyson Fury learned some things. To your shoulder. Oh, thanks, Monstrous Animal, man. I appreciate it, man. The channel's growing. We're going to keep trying to do these lives, man. Find the right time frame. And we get some people on here. We can have some healthy dialogue. You probably pick up, I ain't about all the drama, all the craziness. We love boxing. We should be able to have a place where we can come here and talk. Nobody being disrespectful and none of that craziness, man. Fury scared of Wilder. I personally think Tyson Fury knows. That's what we were just talking about before he jumped on. People keep talking about how Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury, right? First fight, second fight, third fight, the first fight was a draw, but whatever. But I was just saying, you better believe Tyson Fury, he understands what he's up against if he goes into a fourth fight with Wilder. So, but this is something else that I've been talking about, right? I think this. I'm not sure Malik Scott is the right fit for Deontay Wilder. Now, Malik Scott taking Wilder into another Fury fight. I'm just not sure that's I sent you a link where the guy was talking. Okay, yeah, I'm just not sure Malik Scott is the right fit for Wilder, because you look at Wilder when he fought Helenius, right? I don't know if you guys caught it, but of course Wilder was trying some different things, jabbing to the body, lateral movement. His footwork's something new, but he needs some work. But Wilder threw a jab to the body, and Helenius countered him. And Wilder felt that, because you could see his facial expression was like, damn, I got caught clean. And when I saw that, I said, okay, this is a problem, because Wilder's learning these new things. And yeah, he tried it against Helenius, and some people could say Helenius is low threat. Can't come in the ring not really sure or having a confidence in the things you trained on and try to pull that off against a guy like Tyson Fury. Like, I just don't see that. I just don't see that happening. I just think Tyson Fury, although Wilder has a puncher's chance, I think Tyson Fury gets him every time. I do. He's too big, man. Too much reach. Wilder can't handle that. Wilder still doesn't know how to tie up. So I think 85 to 90% of the time, yeah, I think Tyson Fury gets him. Absolutely, I do. I do think that. But, you know, it is what it is. Bully Block says, AJ's coming back, watching Wilder and putting Wilder and Fury on notice for cheating. Well, look, man. Monstrous Animal, agree, Wilder needs to fix his defense. Yep. What do you think the way to beat Fury? Should he go all out in the first 4 rounds? No going backwards. Just stand in front and throw down because he ain't going to win a boxing match. You know what, man? I agree with you. But there's something that has always – I think Wilder has – I think he needs to hold his ground and just go for broke. That's what I think. But his conditioning, man, he's got to sort out his conditioning. Now, we saw that he could go 12, win 12 with Stavern the first fight. All that craziness, JD is screaming at the camera. But the problem is, if he can control the tempo of the fight, maybe he can get to 12. Tyson Fury puts that mental stress on him. Physically, man, stresses him out. And he just doesn't have the conditioning to keep up with that. Tyson Fury's in great condition, and he can let his hands go. So for Deontay Wilder to win that fight, to me, he's going to have to be able. He's going to need conditioning, because if he's going to come out from the first round and start going for broke, he's going to have to be in shape. And he's a guy who already doesn't want to run. You know, you've heard the different reports about him not really wanting to train really hard in camp, you know, and not wanting to run and not wanting to do the things that could help with his conditioning. Now, he's got people in there who's supposed to be helping him, you know, with his strength and conditioning. But when I see you keep hugging your strength and conditioning guy and kissing your strength and conditioning guy on the cheek and talking about how we're brothers, and I just don't think that's a good working relationship, man. You know what I'm saying? You're that close to somebody, I think you get too comfortable. You know, I just think you get too comfortable. You got somebody coaching you, but you guys are hugging and kissing each other on the cheek and talking about how y'all love each other and y'all are brothers. I just think you need to have that person there where you're not so comfortable. So when they push you, there's still a certain discomfort, a certain level of discomfort. And then as a result, there's probably I think it's a different kind of respect that you have for that person's position. And I think you tend to want to listen more. Like if someone's coaching me, right? But I don't like the match of Wilder versus Scott. Yeah, I don't either. If I have a friend that's coaching me and he's like, all right, another lap, I might be like, God damn, man, and laugh and joke. I may do the last lap, but I probably may not approach it as serious as someone who I'm paying money to kind of push me. And, you know, probably not going to be so much back and forth between that guy and I. So I think he definitely needs to go all out and hold his ground. But he gotta have to figure out that conditioning piece, man. You know, if his conditioning was better, and it looked pretty decent, we can talk about Fury putting his weight on him all day. But if his conditioning was better, he would have won that fight. 100% go for it. Yep. 100% needs cardio. Absolutely. Also needs to double up on lefts. He's too predictable. Yep. The right always follow the left. Should rip right, left low, then go upstairs with that same hand. What's your thoughts? Yeah, I think Wilder. This is what I think he should do. He should throw that jab out there. Throw the jab, double up the jab, step back, circle around, throw the right hand, then throw the jab, feint, and kind of get Fury a little, because he can get Fury comfortable. He landed the right hand before, so he can land it again. But throw that jab out halfway, but to blind, more as a blinding punch, and immediately come with that right hand. Because, you know, what's the first thing we do if someone throws their hand in our face? We blink. You know what I'm saying? First thing you do. But for Wilder, when he is jabbing, change it up. Some are for power, some are for speed. But then kind of throw it out halfway, just enough to get Fury to react. But then he got to immediately come with that right hand. And sometimes try, you know what I haven't seen Wilder do? I've never seen him double up the right hand. When have you ever seen Wilder throw a 1-2, bring that 2 halfway back, and then boom, come right back with it? When have you seen him throw a 1-2-2? What you've seen him doing lately, this is what they've worked on in camp. What you see him doing lately is, trying to throw a jab to the body, go to the body, right hand to the body, and then throwing this super wide left hook. I don't think that's going to get there. You can't throw your left hook so wide against a guy like Tyson Fury, who's Tyson Fury's jab is just a decoy. Tyson Fury's jab means nothing. You can tell when he's actually looking to make his jab effective. But Tyson Fury, when he was fighting Wilder, his jab really meant nothing. He was just looking to throw it out there, like what we just talked about, to blind Wilder. And then he was coming behind with that looping right hand. He has a decent jab. He doesn't seem to have a cardio to throw. Nah, he doesn't. I agree with you, man. And you figure, look how far he's come in his career, right? I tend to believe there are times where, if something's broken, why are you going to go out there and fix it? But you can't apply that mentality and that approach to a fight with Tyson Fury, because obviously that approach didn't get you any success. It didn't get you a win. It got you spots in the fight to where we're all saying, you know what? Wilder and Fury, maybe Wilder can get him next time. But it didn't get him the victory. So they need to, and the one thing that has plagued Wilder in every one of those fights is cardio. Let me see. Bully Block says, why does defense and the same as Joe Joyce, but he got the one hitter? Why does defense same as Joe Joyce, but he got the one hitter? And Bully Block, what are you trying to say there? That Wilder's, what are you trying to say? Wilder and Joe Joyce has the same kind of defense, but Wilder hits harder. You gotta help me to understand what you're trying to say there. Monstrous Animal says he has a decent, QT. I don't think any heavyweight of today's era can beat Fury, but he doesn't compare to any of the top heavyweights of the past late 90s and before. I agree with that, man. I do agree with that. No, right now, I mean, when you look at it, what can somebody do to a 6'9" Fury with his boxing IQ? Tyson Fury, if he wanted to, let's just be real here, right? If Tyson Fury wanted to, he could just sit back and just jab and play with these guys all day. I mean, this man's reach is like a mile long, you know what I mean? And he's smart. Yeah, they both, Wilder and Joyce block with their faces. But Tyson Fury, there's no one beating him right now. I don't care what people say about Usyk, and Usyk coming doing the interviews and calling Tyson Fury belly and all that. Tyson Fury is just his time, man. Now, what I will tell you is this, and I'm going to be honest. I do think that Joe Joyce, although he blocks punches with his face, right? Although he blocks punches with his face, I think out of all the heavyweights, Joe Joyce has the best chance of beating Tyson Fury. I'm honest. I'm being honest. When you listen to Tyson Fury talk about Joe Joyce, Tyson Fury, when he talks about Joe Joyce, he gives him a lot of respect. And something I don't think a lot of people realize, right? These guys have spent a lot of time together, sparring. See, so we just get a little insight into what's going on or what has gone on in these guys' relationships. A lot of these guys have spent time together sparring, so they know what people bring to the table. So if you hear Tyson Fury coming out and, just kind of bad talking different heavyweights, he doesn't do that with Joe Joyce. That's because Joe Joyce and Tyson Fury was good work in the sparring. And Joe Joyce is running around with all the confidence in the world, because there's two things that I think a heavyweight needs, right? Outside of power, you know what I'm saying? But you got to have a chin. You got to have stamina. You know what I'm saying? Joe Joyce has a chin, which I think Zhali Zhang is going to test that chin because that Chinese boxer, man, he hits hard, and he's a southpaw. But when it comes to that chin and that stamina, you got to give it to what's his name, Joe Joyce. But I just think he's just we look at him, he's slow. But they say when you get in the ring with him, it's totally different. He looks simple. Even Walter's trainer, Malik Scott. Yeah, Malik Scott's a yes man. But Malik Scott, when he talked about Joe Joyce was whipping Malik Scott's ass in sparring. Malik Scott came out here and he spoke very highly of Joe Joyce because Joe Joyce put those hands on him. But yeah, I agree, man. Like we're talking about with Malik Scott. I don't like how I think, Walter do what the hell he wants to do, but I just don't like how Malik Scott gets in front of the camera, man, and I'm listening to him, man, and I'm trying to see the good of having him in that camp. But I'm not really. I just glitching, right? I don't think he's fit. I think Deontay Wilder, the Anthony Joshuas, the Tyson Furies, Sugar Hill's a good fit because he's an offense-first fighter. Kronk gym style, Emmanuel Stewart, knock people out. I think guys like Deontay Wilder, I think he would do good with a guy like Derrick James or Freddie Roach. You know what I mean? I'm not sure you need someone all the time kind of hugging and like, how many times they gonna kiss each other? Are y'all watching this? Every stroking your ego and telling you, talking about your power because, you knocked, because you already knocked your brother out, your trainer out. But how many times are they going to hug and kiss? How many times are they going to come out here and talk about loving each other, loving on each other? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, ridiculous. I'm watching that sometimes and I'm like, damn, like I'm one of four boys, right? We don't do that. I mean, all my brothers, we all okay. Put it to you that way, right? We don't do that, man. Like my man, like I'm just waiting for them dudes to French kiss. You know what I mean? Like what the hell's going on here? And maybe Wilder needs that. And that was something that what's his name? Mark Breland had went on record and talked about. But Wilder not wanting to listen. Wilder being very rude, very abrupt. You know what I'm saying? Not wanting to hear what nobody had to say. And Breland didn't sound like he was a yes man. And Breland was disrespected. You got to look at everything this man accomplished as an amateur in the Olympics. I mean, shit, that's reason enough to shut up and listen. You know what I mean? Then as a professional. That's crazy. And you won't shut up and listen to what this man is teaching you, trying to advise you on? You got to have good sparring. Yeah. But y'all want to give Mark Breland? Y'all want to give him flack? Again, I don't know anything about the whole bottle issue and the fact that they were saying Mark Breland was boys or had a good relationship with the Kronk gym, and they felt that they got to Mark Breland. Those are things that were said. I don't know if I necessarily buy into all that. But for Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott, I just don't think that's the pairing that's going to get Wilder to a victory with Tyson Fury. I just don't think that's the answer. I just don't. And also when it comes to what's his name? Everyone keeps talking about Adrian Broner. And Adrian Broner being out there with Kevin Cunningham. That's another one of those pairings that I just don't think is a good pairing. Adrian Broner's coming up on a fight. He's fighting this guy that no one has any idea about. And it's just crazy. Michael Williams Jr. What's Kevin Cunningham? I just don't think he does much for Adrian Broner either. I think Adrian Broner says he's not a yes man. But when I look at the performance in the ring, I mean, when your trainer can't really get you to let your hands go, then you probably need to be with another trainer. Sometimes I think, although I don't like Teddy Atlas, and he's a little older now, but sometimes, they need a guy like Teddy Atlas who's not going to come while you're in the fight and tell you that you're winning. You look at what happened with Kevin Cunningham. He had Adrian Broner thinking he was winning the Pacquiao fight. In that fight where he fought Giovanni Santiago, he had him thinking he won that fight. Adrian Broner wasn't winning those rounds. So, Bully Block, I haven't seen it, the Hug and Kiss show. Yeah, they're always showing crazy affection to each other. I mean, it's just overboard. You know what I'm saying? It's overkill. Monsters Animal. Iron Mike would be great to show Wilder defense. Holyfield too. Both could turn a good defense into immediate audience. Absolutely. I think, and I know one thing for a fact. Holyfield, he loves Deontay Wilder because Holyfield is originally from Alabama. Holyfield is a guy. Well, we could find a situation where I think Wilder could pick up some good tips from a guy like Tyson, a guy like Holyfield, but Wilder's athletic, but his athleticism is a little bit different. You watch Holyfield. When you used to watch Holyfield box, and when he would sit there and move just enough to get out the way of a shot and then come back, and to me, Evander Holyfield had the most deadly hooks in boxing. I've always said that. Holyfield getting there, his strength wasn't the right hand. It wasn't the jab. His go-to were those damn hooks. But for Deontay Wilder would have to want to listen. Even Lennox Lewis tried to sit down and show Deontay Wilder little things. But when Deontay Wilder gets in the ring, when it gets going, you see what happens, man. He gets a little bit wild. He's still not calm in there. You got to be calm. Not Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith calm. That's where, you had to give Eubank Jr. a pulse check. There were times in that fight where I was like, damn, he's too relaxed. And we saw what happened. But for Deontay Wilder, he needs to definitely come down some. Yeah, he's got to come down some. But they could. I think Mike Tyson would be a good mentor to Deontay Wilder. But, again, you got to want to listen. You got to want to try it. People talk about Mike Tyson, why Mike Tyson was as effective as he was in the ring. You listen to what they said about him. He would drill hours and hours and hours on throwing one shot until he perfected it. You know what I'm saying? This man would drill hours and hours on one shot until he perfected it. And, Wilder's going to have to drill hours and hours until he perfects his defense. He's going to have to put hours and hours until he improves his cardio. Hours and hours until he really figures out, how to throw a punch, how to throw that feint, how to come back, hide that right hand behind the jab. You don't even have to throw the jab. You can still know how to hide that right hand and get it off real quick. So I agree. But Lennox Lewis is someone who I think Wilder can really learn a lot from too. Because Lewis was 6'5", so he's shorter than Deontay Wilder. But at that time, Lewis was one of the taller guys. He even was in camp with Vladimir Klitschko. There's a lot you can learn from those guys. Extremely powerful human beings. But they fought smart. Jab, keep you at distance. Let the shots go. Use their arms to tie you up. They fought smart. But Wilder, you could tell he naturally just wants to scrap. And that's where, things kind of backfire on him, man. What y'all think about Nayu Inoue and this Fulton? I think Inoue knocks Fulton out. I don't think that fight goes past 6 rounds. So that's what I want to find out. How many people really know about Inoue? There's a reason why this man is seen as the pound for pound best in boxing right now. I think Nayu Inoue, I think he stops Fulton. I just think people talking about him coming up in 4 pounds, the fact that he started at 108. I think he's going to get up there, man, and he's going to shock. He's going to shock, what's his name, Fulton. But still a good fight. Fulton's a good fighter. He can box. I just think he's going to be one of those situations where he may be touching Inui. Could possibly cut him up. You look at those high cheekbones and everything on Inui, man. But at some point, when he gets touched, when Inui gets those shots off, what's Fulton gonna do? Same thing with Tank Davis. You know, I can't understand how people will still sit here and talk about Tank Davis like Tank Davis doesn't have a chance fighting guys at 140. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. Barrios was a champion at 140. Barrios can fight. But when you have that kind of power, you got to give Tank Davis a chance at anybody. Regis Prograis is a real problem. Don't get me wrong, but still got to give Tank a chance. When you can hit like that and you have the boxing IQ, you have the awareness. You know what I'm saying? You have the skill set. You got to give him a chance. And Inui, this is what, really annoys me, right? People don't understand Inui's pedigree and everything he did as an amateur. I think he had like 76, 77 wins, maybe like 6 losses or something. But all of the accomplishments he made on the amateur circuit. You know what I'm saying? The man had, out of them 70-something, he had over a 50% knockout ratio as an amateur. As an amateur, man, it's you hit somebody and buzz them, they'll kind of stop the fight, give a person a standing 8. But to really go out there, man, and to get those knockouts like that, I mean, there had to be something special in your hand, like something special in your hands. So for him to come into the professional ranks and see what he's doing, I'm not surprised. And I just think it's until he moves up more to like 130 and 135, maybe, I think that's when you'll see him maybe where he starts to struggle a little bit with his competition. But you got to give Inui, you got to give him a good chance and make him the betting favorite. We're just talking about a 4-pound difference. It's not that much of a difference as far as the weight. So I don't see how they can sit here, man, and downplay Inui like Inui he's not a real threat going in there against Stephen Fulton. I think Fulton, like Deontay Wilder, he goes back too much. I don't like to see fighters go straight back. That's one-on-one stuff. You can't just go back. You look at when Fulton fought Figueroa. Same thing. Figueroa had a lot of success. True indeed, Fulton has great defense. He was able to avoid a lot of those shots. But he went straight back, and Figueroa landed a lot of shots. It was more competitive than what I think it had to be. But then again, Figueroa was able to cut off the ring, come in like we talked about what Wilder needs to do, tripling up that jab, quadrupling up that jab, right hand. And sometimes he's not even throwing those shots to hurt you. It's just to preoccupy you, to get in close, tie you up, and then start to do the work, because the inside fighting game is more of Figueroa style. Inui, he can fight on the inside, but that he's not necessarily trying to make it ugly. He's going to get in close, and then he lets off those short shots and at really, really, really interesting angles, kind of like Gervonta Davis. But Inui can stand in the ring and box. I mean, you watch, he can stand in the ring and box. And he does, like, I saw him do something where he was waiting for the opponent to throw a shot, and he just turned back, he just twisted halfway and then came right back with the right hand. So he caught the guy off guard, and that right hand, it just totally diffused the opponent. So Inui's always thinking in the ring. But what I like about him, and what I like to see in fighters, is where they're a thinking fighter, but at the same time, they've trained so much to where, although they're thinking, they can still react instinctively. That's not easy to do. That's that muscle memory, and that's from years and years of training. If we're fighting and I feel your shot touch here, I'm immediately shooting with the uppercut or counting with the hook or shooting with the right hand. Like, there are things you can do instinctively, but to be able to do things instinctively and still think at the same time, that speaks volumes about where they're at as a professional and how hard they've trained. So, I mean, hey, I don't know. But I think what I think would be interesting if Inui was to go up to at some point finally get to 135 and do like a dream fight between Inui and Tank Davis. That's something that would be interesting. It's kind of like when Pacquiao went up and fought De La Hoya in the dream match that nobody thought would ever happen. I really think a fight between Inoue and Tank Davis down the road would be huge if Inoue actually wanted to bubble up, because Inoue and Tank Davis are about the same. They're the same height. I don't know if you guys realize that. Inoue and Tank Davis are the same height, arm length, everything. They're dimension-wise, they're pretty much the same. So that would be a fight that would be fun to watch. So let me see what we got here. Bully Block's talking about a hook with an elbow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Especially what Liam Davis did to Eubank Jr. He intentionally threw that elbow. And we know, what's his name? Holyfield used to throw a lot of elbows too. Fulton lost his last fight with Brandon Figueroa. Omar Figueroa, Brandon Figueroa, and she's got to lose again. Yeah, it's like, you know who Fulton reminds me of, style-wise? It reminds me of Montana Love and Adrian Broner. Counter punches. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily these guys who high volume, but although Stephen Fulton can throw a lot of punches, but he's still more looking, if he can sit back and counter you, you know, he will. But if you're getting your shots off on him and you have high volume, that's where you can see that his punch output can actually diminish a little bit. Bully Block. Oh, yeah, okay. So the other thing is Keith Thurman plans on holding his ground against Earl Spence. What do you guys think about that? That's what I want to know. What do you think about that? And what do you think about AJ coming back fighting this guy, Jermaine Franklin? What do you think about AJ and his future in the sport of boxing? I personally think he needs to get away from Eddie Hearn, but he can't. He just signed a lifelong contract with him. What do you think about the possibility of Tank Davis fighting Gary Russell Jr.? Gary Russell's gone on record and says he wants that fight. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, Monstrous Animal, man. It means a lot to me. I do these lives, man, and all I ask for people is come on here and talk to me. So when you guys give a donation, that means a lot to me, man, because I just think it's cool to have an area where we can all come and just talk about boxing and to be respectful to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I really appreciate it. But what do you guys think? Y'all think Tank Davis is the next face of boxing? You guys think AJ can come back and take his spot now that he's with Derek James? You think Wilder will ever become the one face, one name in the heavyweight division? See, I think out of all of them, if AJ and what's his name, if AJ and Derek James can really come together, I think AJ, man, can really take his profile to a whole nother level, because see, he's over here in the States now. He's training now. There's a large population of Nigerians up there in Dallas where he's going to be at. So the word is going to get out that he's here stateside. And although he's going to be fighting back in the UK with Anthony Joshua, I just really think Anthony Joshua could take things to a whole nother level. Seeing if nothing else in the comments. Well, cool. Let's talk about Spence and Crawford. Bully Block, that would be a huge fight, of course. So Spence and Crawford, you know, although it's like beating a dead horse talking about those guys, I've had guys come on the chat, Chicken Talk, and a buddy of mine named MD Mills, right? Those guys really study boxing. I'm a boxing fan. I study it, but those guys are like in the weeds. And they get frustrated when you hear people talk, saying things like Spence or Crawford are ducking each other. And me too. We all know that when you get behind the scenes, Spence and Crawford aren't the ones ducking anything. You know what I'm saying? It's those key decision makers. But these guys have gone on record, especially Terrence Crawford, and has hired lawyers to try to make the fight happen. So do you guys really – I don't think Terrence Crawford and Spence are going to fight, but what do you think? We got 2 people left on the chat. I'm going to end this in about 10 minutes. But for those 2 people who are here, what do you guys think? Y'all think Crawford and Spence are going to make that fight? whoever's still here, just post a comment. Let me know who's here. Okay. Appreciate it. Bully Block still here. So I got Bully Block still here. Who else is still here in the chat? So I know who I'm talking to. Monstrous Animal, you still there? I guess it's just you and I. Oh, we got 3 people back on here. But Bully Block, what do you think, man? I personally think this is the year where we see those guys move up to another weight division. I just don't see it. I don't. I think the opportunity is there if they can sort things out. A lot of money on the table. You know, the demand of that fight is probably greater than ever now. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to respect a guy who will march to the beat of his own drum. We're talking about Terrence Crawford. But at the same time, I would think that there would be so much money on the table for these guys to where Terrence Crawford would actually want, and Earl Spence and both teams would actually want to make this fight because those sanctioning bodies have put so much pressure on them. Just chilling here in Australia, so I enjoy the early morning entertainment. Can Ngannou make waves in the heavyweight division? Man, I'm glad you threw that out there, Monstrous Animal. We talked about that on a live the other day. But it seems like, you know, like one thing I'll tell you, you know what, man? When you post comments on the videos that I put out, and there's a couple others, but you can tell the ones who really are keeping up with what's going on in boxing. Because, you know, I'll throw certain subjects out there, man, and some people don't have a real response. But the fact that you're asking about Ngannou, that tells me that you two are keeping up with it. Man, I think he has a puncher's chance. You know what I'm saying? I think if he was to fight Chisora, like Chisora's calling him out, Dillian White's calling him out, yeah, he'll knock those guys out, no problem. No problem. You know, when you grew up working in, I think it was the coal mines and stuff. Who was the next great heavyweight? Sanchez, Anderson, Joyce. What happens if Ruiz ends up fighting Hrgovic? Who will win? Oh, okay. You're asking a good question. But as far as Ngannou, yeah, he can make waves in the heavyweight division, man. You got that kind of power, man. And he has some boxing skill. But he just can't jump in there off the back with a guy like Tyson Fury, who's not going to let Ngannou get that shot off. If Tyson Fury couldn't do it, if Deontay Wilder couldn't do it, I don't think Ngannou can do it. Ngannou's going to have to, you know, really take boxing serious. But as far as who I think is the next great heavyweight, I think Frank Sanchez needs his chance. I do. I think Joe Joyce beats everybody. But I think Frank Sanchez, I just did a video about the heavyweights. Frank Sanchez and Luis Ortiz. I know Luis Ortiz is a Cuban Cadillac. He's that old Cuban Cadillac with like 500,000 miles on it. Still running, but it's got some, you know, it's got a lot of life on it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know why they just don't make Luis Ortiz against Frank Sanchez. Let the two Cubans get in there and bang it out. But they may not want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just being from Cuba and, you know, the struggles for both of them to get over here to the States and make a life and find success in boxing. I can't see both of them being Cuban coming in there and, you know, looking to knock one off. I think they would more be behind each other, building each other up. But I think Frank Sanchez has a chance. If for some reason these belts, if Fury becomes, you know, undisputed or whatever, and then he drops all the belts, I think Sanchez can definitely pick up a title. The real big baby, Anderson, he can fight, but in his last fight, he was getting that guy. If that guy would have put a little more weight behind his punches, Anderson, he would have been out of there. So I'm not sure how far Anderson can go unless he works on his defense, because he's all offense. But I'm gonna tell you the guy, and then we talked about Joyce. I think Joyce beats everyone. But I'm going to tell y'all the guy at heavyweight, what y'all should be looking at is Richard Torres. I don't know if y'all know who that is. Y'all need to, that's the guy who's going to make some noise. Richard Torres out of California, as a heavyweight, that guy, him and Anderson need to fight. I did a video on that. Put them in the ring together. That's a fight to make. But what happens if Ruiz fights Hrgovic? I think Ruiz beats Hrgovic, man. I think he shuts Hrgovic down. You know, Hrgovic was lucky to get that win against Jane. But Andy Ruiz is used to fighting big, tall guys, robotic guys with that style that Hrgovic has. You know what I'm saying? You look at Andy Ruiz, man. You watch when Andy Ruiz fought that European fighter he fought before the first AJ fight. Look at Andy Ruiz he's gonna slip, get out the way. He's got enough head movement, and he's gonna find a way to get inside. Andy Ruiz is gonna find a way to get inside, and once he gets inside, he just explodes. So I just with Flip Hrgovic, he's kind of evolved his fighting style more of a professional style where he's not throwing as many punches as what we're accustomed to seeing. And he's very good at controlling distance. He has power. But if you watch those sparring matches between not those sparring matches, watch the amateur bouts between Joe Joyce and Flip Hrgovic. Flip Hrgovic looked like a totally different, he looked like a better fighter, in my opinion, as an amateur. I'm watching that and I'm saying, damn, this is the same kind of slow, robotic Flip Hrgovic fighting here. Watch him as an amateur. Even Joe Joyce. I mean, very, very high caliber. But I just think Ruiz has been fighting big guys his whole career. He's been shutting big, tall guys down since he's become a pro. And I think right now, but the problem with Ruiz, you can't keep bouncing around from trainer to trainer. You know what I'm saying? But he's got this new trainer, and obviously they've worked on some shots. He was able to catch Ortiz with it, but I want to see if Ruiz can get inside like he's been able to do, close the distance and let his hands go, like what I've seen him do before. But my thing is, I think Ruiz is kind of missing a beat a little bit too. Chris Arreola almost knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? He clipped him hard a couple of times in that first fight. Ruiz did come back, but Ruiz was looking more for just a 1-2 hook. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3. Like he looked simple, and I didn't like that. So I think I have a saying: don't turn a lion into a pussycat. You know what I'm saying? Don't turn a lion into a pussycat. Let the lion be a lion. So that's why I think Ruiz beats all those guys. He beats Hrgovic. I just think he will. I just don't think Hrgovic is going. And also, I don't think Hrgovic has the conditioning to survive, especially in those late rounds. You look at Andy Ruiz. Say what you want. Deontay Wilder could take a note, take a page out of whatever Andy Ruiz does for strength and conditioning, because he may fatigue, but it doesn't really show. He's still letting his hands go. He's still dangerous all the way to the very last second of the last round. So you look at Hrgovic and how he almost died in there with Zhang. Like the referee should have stopped the fight. When you turn your back in a fight and walk off because you're so fatigued, they should have stopped the fight. But, it is what it is. Both of them were Eddie Hearn's fighters, and, whatever. But I think they should have stopped that fight. Bully Block says there's like a 3-minute lag in your text to chat. Yeah, I recognize there's a bit of a lag, man, because I'll say something, and then the time you guys respond, it's a little bit. So I may have to restart the computer. I'll probably do it after we get off. Monstrous Animal says, I know he's tough as nails, but you and I could beat Chisora by walking up a flight of stairs. He barely lifts his arms after 3 rounds. Power, that be, in my opinion, shouldn't let him box. He's a human punching bag. Oh, yeah, Chisora, man. Chisora, what's happening with Chisora, man? And I did a video on Chisora. I think, man, I don't want to say nothing crazy, man. It's like a 10-minute lag with 4 in the chat. Yeah, I know there's four you guys in the chat. So I mean, I got that. But for Derek Chisora needs to figure. He needs to stop boxing immediately. I think Derek Chisora is going to be one of those cases that we look at down the road where he's going to be suffering from Parkinson or some other type of disease. I just don't think Derek Chisora, if he continues, man, I'm not trying to wish bad on no one. We're just talking real. I think Derek Chisora can find himself maybe not living the full potential of his life as a result of the damage he's taken in boxing. Like, he should not fight anymore. He's supposed to be fighting another fight this year. He's calling for Ngannou, but he's even called for what's his name, Deontay Wilder. But outside of those guys, if he doesn't get them, he is going to fight again. He's going to fight again. And Eddie Hearn is going to keep putting him out there to fight because he can make money off of him. And at this point in Derek Chisora's career, Eddie Hearn doesn't have to pay him big money. Even Dillian White, they're not getting all the money they were getting before. They realize that they've lost. They realize that the demand for them has somewhat diminished. But if they can still make a little 500,000, 750,000, they got to take that. I just don't think the millions of dollars are there anymore for those guys. But I think Dillian White could find himself in a similar position where he'd be like Chisora, becoming a punching bag. And, they got to stop and really take a look at what they're doing and what direction they're going health-wise, because it's not up. It's all down. Monstrous Animal. Ruiz's powers of recovery are incredible. He won every round he's fought after getting dropped. Yeah, Andy Ruiz is just he's just special, man. He is just special. And I think everybody out in boxing knows that. I do think Luis Ortiz, and that when he and Ruiz fought, I think Luis Ortiz, man, missed an opportunity because he got knocked down a couple times. But Ortiz wasn't letting his hands go enough. But then again, it's that counter punching style, that Cuban style, the Erislandy Lara, you know what I mean? The Casamayor, like, you want to sit back, the Yugas, sit back, counter punch, make every punch count. But when you're doing that against a guy like Andy Ruiz, bad things can happen, and that's what we saw. But we saw when Ortiz let his hands go, he was hurting Ruiz, but not enough to discourage Ruiz to lower his punch output. But in that last round, if they would have had another round left in that fight, I think Luis Ortiz would have been able to stop Andy Ruiz. But it is what it is. There wasn't another round. But yeah, you hurt Andy Ruiz, that's like Terrence Crawford. If you hurt Terrence Crawford, all you're gonna do is piss him off. He's gonna come back super aggressive. You hurt Andy Ruiz, you just wake him up, and then he's gonna come back to make sure that, like you said, he wins every round. Absolutely. But the question is this, right? I know there may be a little bit of a lag. Do you think Andy Ruiz can take Deontay Wilder's power? Yep. Yeah, if you turn your back, it should be, automatically. Fight should be over. Absolutely. Do you guys think Andy Ruiz can take Deontay Wilder's power? Because Deontay Wilder, they were talking about the mystery opponent, and I thought that they were looking to fight Usyk. But it looks like Usyk and Fury are trying to figure things out. So now Wilder is saying he wants to fight Andy Ruiz now. But at the same time, Wilder's saying Andy Ruiz doesn't have anything for him. So do you think Andy Ruiz can take Deontay Wilder's power? That's the real question. Anthony Joshua caught Andy Ruiz with a nice hook, and he came back and hit him with a hard right hand after that. And Ruiz just, he just shook it off. And it was all downhill for Joshua after that. But for Deontay Wilder, if he hits Ruiz, we know Ruiz has a good chin. Do you really think Andy Ruiz can take Deontay Wilder's shots? Now, I'm going to, as you guys are typing that, even though there may be a little bit of a lag, I'm going to tell you this. and I say it every time I talk about Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder has knocked out every opponent he faced, even Tyson Fury, right? He knocked him out in that first fight, and then Tyson Fury woke up, but he got knocked out. If he's knocked out everyone that he's faced, TKO or out cold, right? Why would it be any different for Andy Ruiz? That's all I'm saying. Why would it be any different? So that's what I want to hear from you guys. I just don't think Andy Ruiz is gonna be able to take it. And I think Deontay Wilder has learned from his mistakes. I don't think he's gonna try to get in close and give Ruiz an opportunity to throw those 6, 7, 8 punch combinations. You know, it's not the first shot that Andy Ruiz throws that hurts the opponents. It's as he's throwing those combinations, there's like 2 to 3 other shots. You know, 4 or 5 can miss you, but it's 2 or 3 that are going to land, and those are the ones that do the damage. I just can't see Deontay Wilder giving Ruiz an opportunity like that to get those shots off. Ngannou is going to put Chisora to sleep bad. That's a scary matchup. Yeah, I think Ngannou, man, especially if they fight in the cage. That's what Derek Chisora was talking about. He'll fight him in boxing. He'll fight him in the cage. Not really sure Eddie Hearn's gonna let him fight him in the cage. We all know that's suicide. But Ngannou just has a different type of power, man. A different type of athleticism, a different type of hunger. But that would be a good fight because Ngannou, you know, being from Cameroon, he's African. Chisora, originally being from Tanzania, African. You know, I don't know why they don't do more fights, especially with guys who heritage, African heritage, or actually born there or whatever. I don't know why they don't put on more matches in Africa. I think Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, if they were to fight, they should do that fight in Nigeria, in my opinion, because you guys know Deontay Wilder says he's Nigerian. Deontay Wilder went out there and did one of those DNA, those what are those things called, man? When they do that thing to, what is it called? Ancestry, like the Ancestry.com thing. Deontay Wilder went out there and did Ancestry.com and found out that he was, I don't know, like maybe like, I don't know, 80, 90% of his people are like Nigerian. So Deontay Wilder identified, he's very proud of who he is, where he's from, Alabama, and proud of his race. But he also, since having that done, he identifies as an African, you know, as a Nigerian. So I think that would be a good fight. What's his name? Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, to have those guys fight somewhere in Africa, if not Nigeria. But we know those fans out there are fanatics. Fanatics. And they need to be brought up on charges. That ain't cool. Monstrous Animal. I don't think Wilder's power is unworldly. He didn't drop. Well, that's true. He just beat the hell out of him, but he couldn't drop him. The referee had to save Duhaupas from himself, and he landed a ton. Yeah, he did. He did. Absolutely, I agree with you, man. He's got to be flush in the right spot, and he gets through it. You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point. But you know, I would say to that, what you're saying about what Wilder not dropping Duhaupas is how Andy Ruiz went down from the shot he didn't see, and it was AJ's hook that put him down. Now we know AJ hits hard, but to Andy Ruiz's credit, he didn't see that shot. So you know, now that I think about it, he didn't see that shot. So Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz, you just made a really good point, Monstrous Animal. For Andy Ruiz, he's going to be expecting that right hand. But this goes back to what we were talking about like an hour ago in the chat. Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott, they got to work on a little bit more than just trying to throw a crazy. Deontay Wilder can't jab to Andy Ruiz's body. Like, that's suicide. Andy Ruiz is going to see him out of position, and he's going to converge on him and catch him when he's out of position. You know, his balance isn't great, and Ruiz is just going to let his hands go, and we know Deontay Wilder goes straight back. But even if Wilder and Malik Scott just try to forget about the body, getting so low to a man who's already shorter than you, going to the body, Ruiz is going to be expecting that right hand. But how do they blind it? You know, how do they mask it? You know, those are the things we're talking about. And that's something, you know, that's a good point. They got to figure out how to hide Deontay Wilder's right hand, because everyone knows it's coming. How do you hide the right hand? Because if he can't hide that right hand, you just bring up a good point. I'm going to make a video about what we just talked about. That how do you hide that right hand? If he can't hide that right hand, he may land it on Ruiz. But if he can prepare himself for it, it could be a problem for Wilder. But Wilder's going to have to hide it. It's just like what Wilder did when he fought Luis Ortiz. You know, he was trying to let it go, but, you know, he remained patient. He waited until he got him in the line of fire, and then he just threw it. And Ortiz didn't see the shot. And that's what knocked Ortiz out. He just didn't see it. So you got, it's like, and almost all the knockouts for Deontay Wilder, guys just, they don't see that shot coming. And that's why they go out the way they do. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Yep. You gotta be flush and on the right spot. Andy Ruiz is just he's gonna shake that off. He's gonna shake that off. But at the same time, you know, that Deontay Wilder power is a lot different. A lot different. And he may hit Andy Ruiz where Andy Ruiz is trying to get up, but his body isn't cooperating. You know what I mean? But I also think at the same time, if Andy Ruiz can close the gap and get his shots off, because I don't know if you guys ever see Andy Ruiz hit those pads. They hit that heavy bag. Andy Ruiz hits extremely hard. If he catches Deontay Wilder, could be a problem for Wilder too. So I just hope that they both put together a good game plan, because they're going to have to. They're going to have to. Both of them are. Because if not, it's back to square one. And I don't think either one of them want that, especially Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is still considered top 3 of the heavyweight division. You know, he loses to Andy Ruiz. That puts Andy Ruiz right back there on top. And you know, Deontay Wilder will probably fall behind Anthony Joshua and probably be grouped with the Hrgovics and Zhangs and Dillian Whites. And he doesn't want to be down there on that tier. He wants to be where he is. Bully Block Fighting says, disagree with that. Not unworldly, but he punches hard and he commits. You can't KO some guys to the face or head. You got to go to the body. That's true, but I just think if Deontay Wilder tries to go to the body on Andy Ruiz, I think he gets caught with one of those Andy Ruiz quick right hands or uppercuts or hooks. Andy Ruiz will take a little half a step back. He may get the first 1 or 2 jabs to the body or shots to the body, but Ruiz is going to figure that out real quick. And his hands are so quick and he throws combinations, he's just going to let his hands go. And I can see Wilder stumbling back because of his poor balance and getting caught. And even if he trips and lands in the ropes, Andy Ruiz is still going to hit him while he's in the ropes. Like, I don't think Andy Ruiz is going to fight clean this fight at all. Andy Ruiz knows. Andy Ruiz has just bought a big mansion. This man has a whole bunch of nice vehicles, depreciating assets. He knows he can't afford to take another loss if he wants to still get these $1-2 million paydays. You know, he's created a lifestyle for himself, and he earned it. He can do what he wants. But Andy Ruiz, he needs to make sure that he's still in a position of winning, so he can keep making the type of money he needs to make to sustain the lifestyle that he's created. Bully Block. It's like you got to ask a question or talk then wait like literally 10 minutes to respond, because we're already talking about Andy to talking to Power now. And he said he can. I did agree. Monstrous Animal. It's always those shots you don't see. That said, Wilder always lands it right a few times in the fight. Let's talk about Tony Harrison, Charlo, or Tim Tszyu. Hey, I got about 10 more minutes. We can talk about Harrison and Charlo, man. Hey, look. This is what I think happening. We're gonna have Harrison Charlo 3. That's what I think's gonna happen. And I think with Tony Harrison, when it comes to Tony Harrison and Charlo, don't be surprised if Harrison beats Charlo in the third fight. People keep talking about Tim Tszyu. Got to hide behind doubling up on the left. Absolutely. People keep talking about Tim Tszyu, right? And when I say people, it's like 15, 16 people when I go out there on these different on Twitter or different videos. Some people won't even give Tony Harrison a chance. And I get it. Harrison has a big mouth. I know Bully Block, you don't really care about you don't really care for Tony Harrison. I don't like the way he talks. I didn't like the way he spoke to Jamel, but Jamel has a big mouth too. So if you can dish it out, you got to be able to take it. Just Harrison went way overboard, in my opinion. But with Harrison losing his dad, Harrison has been in the gym. I think Tim Tszyu felt like he was able to take an opponent that gave Charlo a hard time. Catch Tony Harrison slipping and say, hey, why don't you fill in for Jamel? Thinking that maybe Tony Harrison wouldn't be in shape and it would be an easy fight for Tszyu. That's not what happened here. Tony Harrison's not an easy fight. Tony Harrison's in shape right now. Tony Harrison's going to make the weight. That's 7 weeks out. He's already at like 165. He's got to get to 154. So Harrison is right where he needs to be. I think Harrison goes under Australia and he pulls off the upset. I honestly do. But Tim Tszyu is going, he can't let Harrison get comfortable, find his rhythm, and control the pace. He can't do that. Tszyu is going to have to try to close the distance and get his shots off. Because we know Tim Tszyu can go down. I'm not saying Harrison's going to knock him down. But if he does, he's more like a flash knockdown. I don't think Harrison has the kind of power to throw one shot and just short circuit you. But he has the ring IQ, the boxing ability to make that fight super hard for Tszyu. And if he beats Tszyu, he picks up a WBO title, interim title. And then you got Harrison and Charlo fighting all over again. And Tony Harrison Charlo was a hard fight for Charlo. And Harrison would have won that second fight, but he was doing stuff in the ring that was stupid. And Charlo just showed the type of lying that he is, and and he shut all that down and knocked him out. But I think we're gonna have Harrison versus Charlo 3. That's what I think is gonna happen. All right, y'all got anything else before I jump off of here, man? I'm going to restart the computer, man. I apologize for the little delay. But I really appreciate you guys coming on. Anything else y'all want to talk about before I jump off? I'll give it a little bit because I know you said there's a little bit of a lag and you guys are typing stuff and it's not quite coming through. I see you two are still hanging in there. I know you. Okay, there we go. Do you think we'll see more super fights going to the Middle East because fighters want big money? Absolutely. I do think we're going to see more super fights going on over there. They were trying to put Fury and Usyk over there, but for some reason that didn't sort itself out. But one thing I'll tell you about the Middle East, and this could take this conversation another direction. I'm not going to get into Devin Haney's stuff, but you can't come to the Middle East, right, and do what Anthony Joshua did. You can't come out there and cuss. You can't come out there and cuss, man, and decide to drink and just be and bring chaos with you. That is frowned upon. Like with me, the fact that I was in the military, like I spent a lot of time over in the Middle East. And let me tell you, that's a different world, man. And I kind of understand it growing up, Muslim background and stuff like that. It was easier for me to go over there because I already kind of had an idea. Hey, I've never been out here, but I kind of know how it is when you're in a country that's, pretty much Islamic State. You have to be careful the way you conduct yourself. But I don't think that I don't think that the guys in the Middle East are gonna, although they want to be to be seen by the international community as a place that's friendly, that they have open minds, and they want to see a boom in tourism, and they want people to come and visit the country. But they don't want all the cussing, they don't want all the drinking. Just follow their rules, but they want people to come and be safe and see the country. But I think the guys in the Middle East, if we don't see more boxing fights over there, it's not because of the guys in the Middle East they're doing. It's because people coming over there not behaving. Like you just, if you want to go and drink and get drunk and be walking around and going and pissing over in the corner and stuff like that, then you don't need to go to the Middle East because you get your ass arrested. They're not going for that. And also, if you're an athlete, that just puts a black eye on you and you're a promoter, and they're not going to want to do business. And I'm sure when they put those contracts together, there's probably some clause in there just about the, how a person should behave. What's the expectation? I'm sure there's something in those contracts. Eddie Hearn talks about it, and Eddie Hearn gets it. Although we know Eddie Hearn, a little shady, but Eddie Hearn gets it, man. He gets it. So yeah, I think so. It's a lot of money over there. Don't be surprised if you see Deontay Wilder going over there trying to get some money. But what I was getting at was Devin Haney. Devin Haney, his dad, I don't know, like within the last, I don't know what year. Great chat, bro. Enjoy your day. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, man. Yeah, you too, man. But you look at Devin Haney and his dad, these guys are talking about, they're Muslims now, which, nothing wrong with that, but they're going over there getting the red carpet treatment because they're being received as Muslims. But then when they're on Twitter and they're on Instagram or they're doing interviews, a lot of profanity, a lot of the N-word, just a lot of aggression. Everything, it doesn't really reflect the image of, what the guys in the Middle East want to see from a fellow Muslim. So I think that's where bridges can get burned real quick. Even like Mike Tyson. He's always smoking weed and doing shrooms and doing drugs, right? And then you had, I can't remember that guy's name from the UFC. He's the one who choked out Conor McGregor, man. Khabib is his name, right? So Khabib, he comes over there to meet Mike Tyson, right? To meet Mike Tyson. He's excited to meet him, someone who he's always looked up to. And he talked about Mike Tyson being a Muslim and how he couldn't wait to meet his Muslim brother, someone who he also seen as like an idol. And he said when he came there, Mike Tyson couldn't even put together a sentence. He talked about Mike Tyson was like slurring his words, and he talked about how high Mike Tyson was and how he was doing mushrooms and smoking weed. And he just looked at that and he frowned on that. You know what I'm saying? So again, we talk about bridges get burnt. Mike Tyson can't go visit Khabib over there in Dagestan or wherever the hell he is. What, you think Khabib wants to bring that over there? He's like, nah, because how many people are going to gravitate towards Mike Tyson? A whole lot. But Mike Tyson, wherever he goes, maybe that weed for him is he's used for medicinal purposes. But we know that he said he smokes about $20,000 to $40,000 between him and some other guy a month. So I just think you can't have those behaviors here and think the people over there who are watching what you're doing here are going to be okay with you coming over there, because they have a brand. You understand? And then they have their religion, they have their country, they have their culture, they have their customs. They're not going to allow you to come over there and taint their image, and then you leave, and now you leave them in a bad space, and they got to deal with the blowback. You know what I'm saying? So I think the Middle East's arms are wide open for anyone who wants to come over there and anyone who wants to follow their laws and respect their customs and their culture. Other than that, they don't want to deal with that. And I saw that when I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia for a while. And, I'm out there. I had another buddy. We kind of come, our similar backgrounds. And then, of course, you had the other guys who are just, typical, Americans, you know what I'm saying? And, guys over there just acting the fool, man. They were taking, let me tell y'all something. Before we get off the chat, I'm going to give y'all this story, right? We talk boxing. The oil is running out. They're looking for other ways to make money. Could be. But let me tell you something, just how stupid people are. So I'm in Saudi Arabia. I was in the military, so I'm in Saudi Arabia, right? And you can't drink out there. No alcohol out there. You know what I'm saying? This is in 2001. You go off base, there may be a place where you got guys who are at those jewelry stores. We went out to those jewelry stores, my buddy and I, and they were bringing us food and stuff like that because, again, a friend, his background, his family was Hindu. Me, I'm born here in America, but my family, my dad anyway, Muslim, you know what I'm saying? So our last names is what helped us. And the guys just gravitated towards us. So we got to see that there's a lot of things that go on out there if you want it, but, we didn't play around with that stuff. We ate the food, though. But you had some of the Americans there. You know what they were doing? They were taking, because they wanted to get drunk so bad, they were taking Listerine and Scope. They were freezing it and then allowing the alcohol. Yeah, they were allowing the alcohol to separate, and then they were trying to drink the alcohol to get drunk, and they were messing themselves up. You know what I'm saying? You can't drink that to get drunk. But that's the kind of foolishness that was going on out there. So long story short, again, when you get droves and droves of people who may want to come out there to watch a fight, and they know they can't drink alcohol, they're going to try to sneak the alcohol in. They're going to try to sneak the weed in. They're going to do all these things and can find themselves in hot water. So I'm going to leave it as that. Bully Block says, have a good one, champ. Maybe think about an extra phone to record calls and go live. Also, maybe meals or chicken. Chicken teammates. Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm going to look into doing that because I think it'd be cool to actually have you guys call in instead of just me talking. I think it's sometimes too much of a lull. I'm talking, waiting to see what you guys have to say. I think I'm going to look at doing that. But that being said, man, I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the $20, man. That means a lot to me, Monstrous Animal. Bully Block, I always appreciate your support as well, man. Iron Mike still harboring some mental pain. That's why he smokes. Yeah, no doubt about that. So if y'all don't have anything else, I'll be trying to go live again tomorrow. Yeah, you can call in. Cool. Tomorrow, probably at like 11:30 to 1 o'clock. So I'll try to do that, man. So let me 11:30 to 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'll probably go live. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Appreciate the support, and I'm in the breeze.